Yeah, we already learned about the object. What is objects? We learn about the classes and fields, and yeah, we already reached the section about the static and non-static method. So wait a moment. So we already reached this section. Okay, we already learned about this two-phase initialization. Okay, and then we learned a little bit about the static method and non-static method. Now let's try to figure out how we can put this method in the non-static way. Okay. So if you still remember, let me review a little bit. We have P1, this is the object of point. Okay. So whenever I created this object, I guess you will remember that I have this one. So P1, P2, okay. And we know that the point have two attributes, X and Y. So the point P1, the Y equals to 2. So because there is no definition about the X, it is 0. And then what about the P2? The P2, we define X equal to 4. And there is no definition about the Y. Then it is starting with 0. So if we call the P1 X, so I want to know what is the value of X in the object P1, then it is 0. And then what is the value of object P1, the attribute Y? It is 2. So we get 0 0.2. So it is the same with this one, 0 0.2. And then we want to translate. Okay, so we learn from the course on Monday. Translate means we want to move. Okay, so how we move is X will be added by 2. So now X is 4. So if X is added by 2, then it becomes 6. Okay. And then Y is added by 1. The original is 0. Now it becomes 1. So we print P2.x, P2.y, and the result is 6, 1. Okay. Now we can see from this one that we have two parameters, dx and dy. Yeah, basically, you can just have the same statement, just plus dx, and this one is y equals to y plus dy. But yes, you can make modification like this one. So the translate method has a point p parameter. And how will the method know which point to translate? Okay. So if you have like this one is the x and y. So this is the attribute of point. Okay. But if I want to change, okay, if I want to change like this one, can I make only one object, point P? Okay, so making the parameter with primitive data type is possible, and making a parameter with a Java class, that's also possible. So both of them are possible. Yeah, this error because we don't have definition of dx and dy. Okay. So it means the parameter can be anything. So the parameter can be, we call this primitive data type. If you still remember, this is primitive data type. The primitive data type is like integer, double, character, Boolean, and so on. But in this case, the parameter is a Java class. Okay. So later we will take a look on more examples. So here we just use the x and y from the variable in the point. We have the instance method. So what is the meaning by instance method? One that exists inside its object of a class and defines behavior of that object. Okay, so what does it mean? Yeah. So we call this is the instance method because we don't have any static. Okay, so instance method is the same with the non-static method. Okay, so instance method is the same with the non-static method. So you can see here there is no static. We just define public void. What is the meaning by void? Kang Yerin. Okay, please turn on your camera. Kang Yerin. Okay, what is the meaning by void? Yeah. Okay, I can see you, but it seems there is an internet connection problem. Sorry? I cannot hear your voice clearly, Kang Yerin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can type. What is the meaning by void? Okay, so I know you're there, so you can type. Okay, what is the meaning by void? So I will just check your attendance. So I will check later what your answer, but please type on the chat about the answer. What is the meaning by void? Okay. So if it is non-static, so you don't need to put the static. Okay. So usually we have the public static void, something like translate. But in this case, we don't need to have the static because it is an instance method. But we still need to use the void, and we need to use the integer if we want to return the value, or we use double if we want to return a double value. No variable. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So if we use void, there will be no return variable. Okay. So we call this is an instance method. We just use the public and then type. Type means here you can use void or the primitive data type like integer or double, and you can also use Java class, or you can use any other things like the data structure in Java and anything. So that's why we call just type. And then name is something that you need to define, and the parameters. So the type and the parameters can be anything. So as long as you learn about the Java, you will find out that the type and the parameters might be very different in one subject and in other subject. Okay. And then we will do the statements. So this is the same syntax as static method, but we do not use static keyword. So without static keyword. So for example, yeah, I already give you the example in the Eclipse. So if you have the point P1 and then it is a new point, and then I would like to define P1.x equals to 7, P1.y equals to 2. Okay. And the original value will be 7 and 2. And then I have P2, is it a new object, new point, and then P2 equals P2x equals to 4 and P2y equals to 3. So I have this one, P1 dot translate 2, 3. So if I want to check P, okay, if I want to check P1, okay, Hong Yuju, okay. Let's see later, okay, Hong Yuju, okay. So what is P1 dot x? After we do the translate, there will be a new value. So Kiminji, what is the new value of P1 dot x? After we do the translate, Kiminji, right here.
One more time, please.
Okay. So we have point P1. And then we have this original P1.x equals to 7, P1.y equals to 2. And then we do P1 dot translate 2, 3. So what is the result of the new P1.x?
9,
5?
9.
Oh, 9. Okay, that's correct. Thank you. Kim Sung Hap. What about if I want to know P1.y? Kim Sung Hap?
5.
5. Because we have 2 and then we will add with 3. Okay, thank you. So the new value will be 5. Okay. Ryu Hyun-sung. So what is the value of P2 dot x? Ryu Hyun-sung.
6.
6. Yeah, okay, that's good. Because we have the original value is 4, and then we want to translate with 2. So the new value will be x. That's good. Thank you. And then we have P2 dot y. Park Sung-eun. What is the value?
6.
6. Okay, that's good. Because the original value is 3, and then we want to translate plus 3. So the new value will be 6. Okay. So that's what we can get the result. And this is the way to transform the value. Okay. Because this is the implicit parameter. Okay. The implicit parameter means P1. P1 is the implicit parameter. Because whenever we want to do the translate, we have 2 and 3 to indicate the x and y, but we also have the object. So the object referred to by P1 is the implicit parameter. And then P2, if we translate with 2, 3, then it is also the implicit parameter. So the instance method can refer to that object field. So the P2 can automatically understand what is the current value of that object. And then we will translate, refer to the X and Y of the object that was called. Okay, so you already understand. Now I can have a new way to do the point class. Okay, so each point contains a method named translate that can translate a point to another point plus the X and the Y from the original point. Okay. Oh, sorry. I think this one is the same. Now, we need to understand a new instance method. Okay. So the instance methods take advantage of an object state. So it means some methods allow client to access or modify. Okay. If we want to access, we got it accessor. Okay. So if we want to only access, then we got it accessor. So for example, I want to know the value of X. I want to know the value of P1. Yeah, this accessor. Or I want to examine the object state. For example, a distance from origin. So I want to know how far is from 0.0. Then yeah, because this is also accessor. So we just want to calculate without changing the value, without changing the field. Okay. So field means attribute. So without changing the attribute value, we just want to access. The other is called mutator. Mutator, I can say mutate. You know, mutate? Mutate means modify, change. So if I want to modify some values, for example, the translate method is to change the X and Y. So we call this is mutator. In the accessor, usually we just want to access without, so we just access without modifying the attribute, just access. But in the mutator, we will modify the attribute. Okay, that's the difference between the accessor and mutator. So let's see if I want to do the mutator method. Okay. There's one problem here. Write a method set location that changes a point's location to the x, y value has. So you may want to refactor the point class to use this method and modify the client code to use this method as appropriate. Okay, so in this case, we have two things. Okay, so first, we need to write set location method that changes a point's location to the x, y value pass. So it means I will have two values, maybe x and y. And then you may want to refactor. So refactor, usually we call this refactor, is the same with change or modify. Okay. We want to change. We want to modify the point class using set location. And then the second one, we want to modify the client code. So it means the first one, it is located in the point.java, but the second one is located in the point main.java. So you need to change accordingly. Now let's see. The mutator method can be something like this one. So I have a new one, set location. Let's see in the Eclipse. So I can just add one more. Okay, I will delete this one. So you can see here, mutate means modify. So if I want to modify x and y, the original x and y will be changed with the new x and new y. So if the original x and y is 0 and 0, so I would like to set a new value, which is new x and new y. There are two parameters, and it will be set into this variable. Now, if I have that one, yeah, this is the previous solution. And we can make an alternative solution of the method translate. So here is set location x plus dx, comma y plus dy. Can you understand? So the idea of this one is the same with this one. Because in this statement, I want to change the new x with the x plus dx. So the new x will be x plus dx. I want to change the y with the y plus dy. So the new y will be y plus dy. So it means this method is the same with, no, sorry, these two statements is the same with this one statement. So that's why it is an alternative solution. Okay. Now we have assessor method. Assessor method means I just want to retrieve the data. I just want to know what is the current value. So we need to write a method, and the method is distance. And it computes the distance between point and another point parameter. So last week, we learned about this formula. So we have the x2 minus x1 power of 2 plus y2 minus y1 power of 2. And the result will be square root. This is the distance. So the first will be the first problem. We will write a method distance. Okay. And then what about the second? The second one, we need to write a method distance from origin. So we need to write a method distance from origin. What is it? Distance from origin, it will return the distance between point and the origin. The origin, here we set up 0.0. And then last, we need to modify the client code to use this method. So we have three things. The first is write the method distance, and then we need to write the method distance from origin, and then modify the client code. Let's see one by one. We can make the public method. So here is a public double. Here we want to return a double value. Okay. Oh, we have point. What is it? Okay, so I would like to ask to you. First, it is a primitive data type, or it is a Java class. My application has been closed. Okay, Park Jiong. Park Jiong, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, so what would be the answer? Point. What is point? Is it 1 or 2? Is it primitive data type, or is it a Java class?
Java class.
Java class. Okay, that's correct. So when we create a parameter, okay, we can create a parameter not only with the data type, but we can also do with the Java class. So in this case, we call point. Point is the Java class name. And there is one object here, which is other. Now, I would like to check the distance. The distance will be dx, and it will be x minus other. What does it mean by other? So other is the object that you want to pass. Other.x. So it means I want to know the distance between the x. So we can say this one is x2 minus x1. And then this one is y2 minus y1. Okay. And then according to the formula, we need to multiply or power of 2. So dx multiplied by dx. Okay. And then we will add with dy multiplied by dy. Okay. So this one is the case of the arithmetic. Okay. I hope that you understand. We will start from the left to the right. So multiply will be done first, and then because it is not in the priority, we will do again the multiply, and then we will do the plus. Okay. Now, just want to ask you very simple one. So Jong-un, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, what is SQRT? Yeah, so Jong-un,
Yes.
what is SQRT? Yeah, you don't know?
Yes.
Oh, we learned a lot about this one. Okay, I guess we learned something in the section 7. Yeah, we learned about SQRT. So you can see here. Oh, there is no definition here. Okay. So we learned a lot about SQRT. Okay. So SQRT is the square root. Okay. Please remember this one. So we want to do the square root. According to the formula, the square root of x2 minus x1 power of 2 plus y2 minus y1 power of 2. So the first method is done. What about the second method? Okay, we want to find the distance from origin. So what is origin? It is 0. So if we use this one, why it is x multiply x, y multiply by y? Sun Hyun-suk.
Yes.
Okay, so what is the answer? Why it is x multiplied by x and y multiplied by y with in the method of distance from origin?
Because x minus 0. So
Okay, that's right. Because x minus 0 equals to x. That's correct. Thank you for the answer. So we have x minus 0 equals to x, and we have y minus 0 equals to y. Then yeah, maybe we can say this, the dx equals to x minus 0. So the dx will be just x, and the dy is y minus 0. So it will be equals to y. And we will just do the multiplication x multiplied by x plus y multiplied by y. Okay. So when we have already those two methods, we can call in the client. So for example, I want to call system.out.println. I want to know the distance P1, distance point. Okay. I want to know the distance of P1 from P2. Okay. Maybe it is difficult to calculate by hand. So just let's see the result. Okay, this is the result, 0.608 something something something. And if I want to know the distance from origin, so we can just call P1 distance from origin. So now you have the method, and you can call your own method. Okay, so this is the method that we just created, and this is the method that we just created. So I want to know what is the distance from the origin. Okay, 2.0. Okay. So that's about the non-static method or instance method. Now we will take a look on the new things. We call this is constructor. Okay. So what is constructor? Okay, we will learn about constructors. When we create an object, okay, let's say this one. P is a new object. Okay. And then I will always try to set up the new value of x equals to some value like this one, 3, and then y equals to, for example, 8. Okay. Or maybe you say that I want to where is the hmm? Oh, I cannot find the pen. Oh, something wrong. Wait a moment. Oh. Oh. Okay, so I can have this p dot x equal to 3 or p dot y equals to 8 to create the value of x and y. I mentioned this is tedious. You know what is tedious? Tedious is time consuming because you need to create 3 lines for this one. Maybe you may have idea, okay, I do need to use this one. Okay. I can just use 2 lines. For example, I can say p dot set location with 3, 8. Okay. The same, we still have 2 lines to create the new point of the point p. Okay. There is one way, rather than pass the field's initial value as parameters. Okay. So if we can do this one, that is fine. So we need to have 2 lines. If we use like this one, p dot x equal to 3, p dot y equals to 8, yeah, we have 3 lines. So you're lucky if it is only 2 attributes. But how about if the attributes is 10? How about if the number of attributes is 100? Okay, so your team project have a lot of data. Okay, some of the teams you want to create a kind of online store. So it means you will need many attributes. So if you try to initialize the object one by one, like this one, then you create many lines. It will not be so effective. So I call it this is tedious or time consuming. So there is an elegant way. We can just use 1 line. So we can just call the method, we can call the class point, and then we create the object p, and we want to create the new point. So the new point now is in the parenthesis. And we know that everything in the parenthesis, it is considered as parameters. So these parameters is in the Java class. It is not in the method. So how we can deal with this one? So how can we create this one in Java? Okay. Now let's see. We can make a new class point, and we still have 2 attributes, which is x and y. Now we will create a constructor. Okay, so please pay attention to this one. So the constructor is the same name with the class name. So this is what we call as the constructor. So the constructor, okay, the name equals to the Java class name. Okay, so here we have point, and we start with public, but there is no word class. Okay. So if it is a class name, you will have public class point, but there is no class statement here, so it means this is constructor. Why? Because the name is the same with the class name. And we have two parameters. The first is x or initial x, and the other is initial y. And then we want to put the initial x into the variable x, and we want to put the initial y into the variable y. So we call this is constructor. Okay. So the constructor is to initialize the state of new object. And usually we just have the public type. Maybe I can say it's not type, but it's better to write the name. Okay, so it is the same with the Java class name. So if you have like public class student, okay, if you have the public class student, then what is the constructor? Jim Doksu?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, so if I have this Java class name,
Yes.
what will be the constructor name?
Construct name.
If I explain this one,
Yeah.
if I have a Java class name is point,
Yeah.
the constructor name will be public point.
Public point.
Okay. If I have the public class student, so
Yeah.
what will be the constructor name?
Public class point.
No, sorry, public.
Public student point.
That's right. So we have public student. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the constructor name should be the same with the Java class name. That's correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you know how to handle the constructor name. And inside the constructor name, there will be the statement. Yeah, if you are dealing with the student, then you will have the maybe student ID, student name, or I don't know, maybe student phone number, student address, and etc. So this runs when the client uses the new keyword. Okay? So whenever you have the constructor, you can create it after the new. Okay, new, and then you will call the class name. In this case, we call the point. If your class name is student, then you will use student. Okay. And it does not specify a return type. So there is no return type. There is no void. There is no data type. And if a class has no constructor, then Java will give default constructor. So it means if it is no parameter, then all fields will be 0. Or if it is an object, it will be null. If it is a string, it also will be null. Okay. Now, you can see from this one, what happens when the following call is made. If I have point P1 and new point 7,2, and the P1 will be generated, and then the original value of X and the original value of Y, it will be depending on the value here, because we set 7 So this 7 will be the value of initial x. And then the value of 2 will be the value of initial y. And the initial x will be assigned to the variable x, and the initial y will be assigned to the value of y. So the x will be 7 and the y will be 2. Okay. So let's take a look on the point main tree. Okay, so in the point main tree, you can see there is an error. Why? Because we have two parameters, 5 and 2, but in the point.java, here is the point. Okay. In the point.java, we don't have any constructors. That's the reason of the errors. Okay. So here we have two parameters, but there is no constructor. So if I get this one, okay, so I will copy and paste this one. I will copy and paste this one, and then I go to point.java, and usually the constructor will be located in the top. Okay, so after you have this public point, and then you have two parameters, initial x and initial y. Now you can see point main.java becomes error. Okay, so just leave it error like this one, no problem. We will deal it later. It means there is no constructor with no parameters. We have the constructor with two parameters. Here, now the point main tree has no error because we already have a constructor with two parameters. We have constructor with two parameters. So P1 will start with 5,2 and P2 will start with 4,3. And then we can do the translate. Translate means we will transform P2 x plus 2 and y plus 4. So this will be the result. 5,2 is the original P1, 4,3 is the original for P2. And then after we plus with 2 and 4, then it becomes 6 and 7. Okay. Okay, I will stop here first. Let's have a break. I will continue after the break.